Hello, everyone, and welcome back to History Buff 41. In this episode, we're taking a look at a partial U.S. World War I uniform. The reason why I say partial is because this soldier appears to be missing his pants. So, World War I, you still see quite a bit of uniforms and equipment around from that conflict. And the reason why is after the war ended, the United States had built up a large reserve of equipment and uniforms during 1918 in anticipation of the Great Spring Offensive in 1919. And due to field conditions, the German front collapsed in November of 1918, and Germany surrendered. And so the war ended rather unexpectedly, or rather sooner than expected, and everybody was sent home. And when they were sent home, they all received a complete kit, uniform, and field gear that they were issued, a complete set of it. So you had your tunic, your pants, your greatcoat, ammunition belt, bayonets, helmet, you name it. And the reason they did this is the U.S. government had a bunch of uniforms and equipment left over. And as we all know, World War I was the war to end all wars, and there weren't going to be any more. Spoiler alert, there's been quite a few since then. And so a lot of that is still around. Now, over the past 100 years or so, a lot of it has been parceled out as individual items, but you can still buy some sets around. Some collectors have kept everything together and sold it all as one individual lot, and you can still find those. But today we're looking at a World War I U.S. greatcoat and U.S. infantry or U.S. tunic. There's nothing especially spectacular about these. They're pretty general, pretty run-of-the-mill, nothing exciting, no insignia or medals or that sort of thing listed on these. But we'll take a look at them anyway. The greatcoat here, we take a look. The buttons have the eagle, the U.S. stamp, U.S. Army seal on them. A lot of times you can look in here on the inside and you can find a maker's mark, either here on the right hand corner or on the left hand corner of the inside flap. This one appears to have a mud dauber's nest inside of it. Oh, there it is. It looks like this was made, here we are, by Sydney A. Alo Company, and it shows the size, of course, Philadelphia. This is a U.S. made one. It looks around, says contract April 9th of 1917. So this was, I guess, probably just prior to the U.S. entrance into World War I. And so take a look over here at the tunic. Again, this is nothing especially interesting. A couple condition issues to point out. You see here we have some mothing. We have some more here on this sleeve and up here on the shoulder. But the most interesting thing about this particular uniform, and you see here with the buttons, we still have the Army seal. But with this uniform, the most interesting thing here are these collar discs. Obviously the U.S. collar disc, and then you see here with the crossed rifles, that designates infantry. During World War I, collar discs were used to designate the various branches within the United States Army, whether it was Signal Corps or engineers or artillery or cavalry or armor or whatever the case may be. And depending on how specific these collar discs are and how rare they are, largely determines how much they are worth. This is a pretty generic one. There are others that will show, certain regiments or certain companies within the U.S. military, and those are worth more. Other things that would add value to the uniform, obviously, would be the condition. Fewer moth holes. You look here on the side here, there's a lot of times you'll see a division patch. On the more dress uniforms, you'll see ribbons, campaign ribbons, that sort of thing. And then down here on the sleeve, sometimes there is a chevron that shows, like if a person was wounded, you'll see a red chevron, kind of looks like a private stripe. That's in World War One. We did not have the Purple Heart, and that was how they designated how many people or how many times a person had been wounded. And then you'd also see some length of service um, stripes and that sort of thing. So that is it for this edition of History Buff 41. Thank you for watching, and please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.